Welcome back to my garden in Piemonte. The summer shows no sign of slowing down. The garden is growing a little more every day. The heat has become part of the daily rhythm, and as always, there's another project waiting. In this video, we'll sow the final row of cannellini beans, talk about one of the simplest habits that can make you a better gardener, protect the garden from the relentless summer heat, hill the potatoes for the first time, and finish the day with one of my favorite Italian-inspired recipes. But first, back to the beans. This is the third and final row of cannellini beans. Rather than planting everything at once, I've sown them in succession. The first row went in about 2 weeks ago, the second a week later, and now it's time for the last one. Hopefully, this spreads the harvest just a little, so I won't have every single bean ripening at exactly the same moment. Planting things in succession like this, it's exactly the sort of thing you think you'll remember, until next year arrives, and you realize you don't. Which brings me to something I've been meaning to do for a while, a garden journal. But first, coffee. Not just any coffee though. It's one of my favorite little discoveries this summer, which has been fig leaves. I pick a small bit of one of the more tender leaves, let it steep in hot water for a few minutes, and then use that infused water to brew coffee. It adds this subtle coconut aroma, and it's not enough to overpower the coffee, but it's just enough to make you stop for a second and wonder what that flavor is. Now that the coffee's ready, time for some garden journaling. Keeping notes in the garden might sound a little unnecessary when you're just starting out. After all, surely you'll remember when you planted your tomatoes, right? Or which variety performed best, how far apart you spaced everything. At least, that's what you tell yourself. The reality is quite different. By next season, you'll be asking yourself questions like, should I sow the tomatoes earlier? Which variety was growing over there? How much space did I leave between the plants? Was it even enough? Simple questions, but surprisingly difficult to answer without notes. In some ways, I'm lucky. I can always go back and watch these videos, but even that isn't very foolproof. The videos are sometimes published weeks after everything actually happens, and of course, they only show part of what's happening in the garden. A journal fills in the gaps. It's one of those small habits that doesn't really seem important today, but becomes incredibly valuable after a year from now. With that done, it's time to get back into the garden. The heat here has been relentless lately, weeks without any rain. Now that most of the vegetables have settled in, it's finally time to give them a proper layer of mulch. If you'd like to know more about my mulching strategy, I've gone into detail in a past video, which should be appearing somewhere on your screen right now. In short, it's actually very simple. Mulch helps to keep the soil cooler, it slows evaporation, and it makes life much harder for weeds. Sometimes the simplest solutions are still just the best ones. The next job is something I've never actually done before. It's hilling up the potatoes. And I'll be honest, I have absolutely no idea whether the way I'm doing it is actually the best approach. But gardening has a way of teaching you through experience. If you never try something, you also never know. The reasoning behind hilling potatoes is actually fairly straightforward. The new potatoes don't grow where the seed potato was planted. They form above it. Giving them more soil means giving them more room to grow. More importantly, it keeps them out of sunlight. If potatoes are exposed to light, they turn green, producing compounds that make them unsuitable to eat. Or more precisely, poisonous. Which of course we would like to avoid. A generous layer of soil, and later also of course mulch, helps to prevent that from happening. I'm using roughly the same mixture as I used when I planted the potatoes. Mostly soil from the property, mixed with some potting soil and a little bit of old hay from the loft to keep everything just a bit lighter. The only challenge is that the ground has become rock hard after weeks of hot, dry weather. So, water it is. It quickly turns into something resembling mud. And normally that might worry me, but in this heat I'm fairly confident that it'll dry out way before it can cause any problems to the potatoes. Rather than raising the entire row, I'm simply creating small hills around each individual plant. It feels like the more practical approach for now. Oh, and something completely different, I also moved the IBC water tank closer to the garden. It may not be the most exciting project of the week, but it should make watering a whole lot easier over the coming months. And of course, no potato bed is complete without another generous layer of mulch. Before heading inside, I quickly pick some fresh lovage from the garden, because it's finally time to cook. Today's recipe has quickly become one of my absolute favorites. And fittingly, the star of the dish is the very same cannellini beans I planted earlier in this video. The recipe starts with authentic Italian salsiccia, or fresh sausage. I brown it over medium to high heat until nicely colored on all sides. It doesn't need to be fully cooked yet, it will finish cooking later. The rendered fat stays in the pan, because that's where most of the flavor is anyway. Into that go 2 onions and a stalk of celery. Then a generous slice of butter, plenty of freshly ground pepper, and later also 2 cloves of garlic and a little flour. Everything cooks gently for a few minutes. And yes, before anyone asks, of course there will be wine. A generous splash of dry white wine goes into the pan. And it's only natural that this is the moment the chef conducts a very important quality inspection, right? The beans are next. About 500 grams or roughly 18 ounces of drained cannellini beans. You can absolutely use dried beans as well, just soak them well beforehand. A generous splash of stock follows and everything simmers gently for about 15 minutes. Most of the lovage goes in now, and I use my immersion blender to blend roughly a third of the mixture to create an even creamier texture. And finally, the sausages return to the pan to warm through. It's simple ingredients, simple cooking, and exactly the type of meal I love after a long day in the garden. Buon appetito! Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed spending another slow summer day with us here in Piemonte, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.